So talk about your church experience a little bit. We haven't had too many people on the show that have played. It sounds like
Yeah.
as much in churches as you. What did
Yeah.
you learn from that experience, or what? Just talk about it, I guess.
Oh well, yeah. This is loaded, man.
Yeah.
I guess it's a simple thing to start from the beginning. I mean, I pretty much from an early age was around church and came up in church. Grew up, was raised in church. But my earliest experience with church, as far as playing, was really, really close to home. My mother's father started a gospel choir in like '76. I was born in 1980. And so basically, when I got old enough to, you know, walk and carry a pair of drumsticks, I became drummer for that group. And so that was probably like 3 years old. It was, yeah, about
Get in there.
Yeah. I mean, but I gravitated to it, you know. Prior to that, you know, my father is a musician, bass player, drummer, and stuff. So I was exposed to not only the gospel but other musical genres early on. My dad would have friends over at the house playing music, and I was right there in the midst, you know. You know, singing along or just, you know, I was just there, just around it. But the gospel was with my grandfather's group, the first, you know, playing with a choir. And then as well as my home church, you know, Sunday after Sunday, and then looking at my peers that may have been older than me, you know, do it, play drums and this and that and the other, and learning from them. And I tell you, my first experience on that level of someone saying, hey, you know, why don't you go take a seat because you're not quite up to par, was actually in church. And, you know, there's nothing more embarrassing, even at that age for me, is when your pastor to like, hey, you know, why don't you go sit down and, hey, you come on and play, you know.
How'd you take that?
Like I say, at first it was just like, oh man, you know, in front of the whole church, you can sit down, so it's a little bit embarrassment. It's like, oh man, but at the same token, it's like, okay, no, I got to get better. So, you know, those kind of experiences are necessary. And I feel like kind of coming up to now, that is the thing that is handicapping a lot of the younger musicians. Because we're in this climate now of, you know, everybody can do it or everybody's a winner. And that's true to an extent. I mean, you know, if you put forth the effort, then, I mean, at least try, right? So, but it's too often where everyone tells you, like, you're good, or, oh, yeah, this, and no one ever tells you, like, you suck. You know? It's just the same thing, like, with, you know, the whole bully thing. Like, maybe bullies are kind of necessary because they force you to, like, be strong. You stand up to the bully, chances are the bully will back down. Or even if he doesn't, you know, a good fist fight or whatever, it doesn't hurt anyone. Like, see what you made of. Like, you're going out in the world, like, no one's gonna collar you.
I heard a guy say this the other day, and he was talking about self-esteem, and he was talking about how he thinks self-esteem basically is a crock, you know, and he was saying the idea that you shouldn't, especially somebody who's like 17 years old, he's like, you shouldn't feel good about anything. You don't know anything.
Well,
and he said you need to feel good about what you could be. You know, your potential. That's what you need to have your esteem by. But you shouldn't feel good. You're a piece of crap. You don't know anything. You're 17 years old. You know, you shouldn't feel good about yourself because there's a lot that you need to get to. You know,
absolutely.
I was like, holy crap, that's pretty.
That was loaded.
Yeah.
I would agree with that, and I would say to that, you know, the true confidence comes through experience. And when you do something long enough, practice, and this is music or whatever, that's where the confidence comes in. Not cockiness, but confidence. If you've done it long enough and you got the experiences to back it up, then you can be more or less comfortable in your own skin. So yes, what the guy said, when you haven't really experienced nothing, then it's all bullshit. You know what I mean? Like people, and it is, people who know can see right through it. When you put up the facade, you this and that and the other, and it's like, get out of here, get out of here. But yeah, so I just, for me, there's always a balance. Yes, you should be complimented when you do things well, but you also should be told the truth when you have work to do.
Yeah, I think I heard another one I heard that was amazing was Dave Chappelle said that his second gig, he just got obliterated.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
I don't know if you've heard of that.
Yeah,
he was like, I got straight up booed off stage. And he said it was horrible.
But check that out.
But he said that's the best thing that's ever happened to him.
Absolutely. Dave Chappelle, just like anybody else, in that moment, after that happened, once he get past the initial shock and whatever emotion that he felt behind that, he had a decision to make. Either he was going to fold and tuck his tail between his legs and go running somewhere, or he was just going to come back stronger the next time. Simple as that. Yep. And that's what it is. That's what those experiences provide for you, the opportunity. All the time. Life is that all the time. You choose. I'm going to do this, do that. And really, that's the only thing a person has control over. Is that outside of that is hey, crapshoot, I guess.
Yeah, that's pretty deep, man. And I know that's happened to probably all of us at some point where we had that moment where somebody didn't approve, but we kind of know deep down that they were right.
Exactly.
And it's not that they disapprove when you actually did something good and they're just jealous or something. It's like you know that like a gig that you didn't prepare quite enough for or something like that when they go like, dude, you weren't ready. It's not about you being good enough, it's about you weren't ready today. And that those are like really deep moments where you got to be honest and you know.
And there's the thing, man, and you just hit it. Like that's everyone knows that. Everyone knows that. Now either there's some that deals with that and others that put it off to the side, but then what's interesting about that for the messenger that puts the mirror in your face, then that's the culprit, right? That is the object of whatever your wrath is, and but you already know the truth. And
displacing, right? They're displacing the blame onto that person, and they're just the messenger.
And that's the current state of.
We could go. We could go deep on that politics, but yeah, that's great, man. And I wonder too what Dave dealt with. I mean, where he's literally boo in his face, as opposed to maybe what you possibly felt at church having something like that happen, where that's a pretty fairly forgiving audience. I mean, are they gonna boo you at church, right? I mean, like
but at the same time, though, we're talking about for my case anyway. We're talking about a black church, and so let alone the grown-ups, but the kids, like in the black culture, it's things like the dozens and stuff, or people just, they'll just rag on you. You know what I mean? So you got to deal with all that, getting talked about and this and that and the other. But again, all those things make you tougher skin. If you choose, you better. It's just gonna be a whole life of that.
Yeah.
But and that's man, that's all part of it, man.
I think you and I are on the same page of how valuable that is.
Oh yeah, man. Because I'm kind of I still am, but it's kind of a time and a season for everything. But I'm a like a non-violent, just hey, let's just get along, be cool type of guy. You know what I mean? And I don't look for it. Sometimes it comes to you. And at you know, when I was very young and stuff, that was a recurring lesson. You know, sometimes you can be nice to people, but they don't always return it back. You know, you'll be met with something else that's not nice. And so, you know, what do you do? What's the lesson? Right? So,
wish it wasn't there.
Yeah. You can wish it. I tried that. It didn't work.
Tried that.
You get it again, pow. You know?
Yeah.
So eventually, man, and it took a learn. This was a long. I mean, you know, it took a while to really grasp that lesson. But sometimes, you know, people don't understand that language.
Yeah.
So you got to learn how to speak another language.
I deal with that all the time with teaching. You know, that this whole idea of what we're talking about how nice do you be at them, like, and I think that's the core of teaching is like the motivation part of it, of dealing with this question of how hard do you come at them, which is kind of what we're talking about. I mean, do you call them a piece of crap and you're doing it wrong, or do you only give them, oh, you're so good, you know, like, like, and how do you come at them, with what tone, when, like, you know, how do you say it, do you even need to say it today, you know, all those kind of questions is to me the art of teaching, and this is kind of what you're talking about.
Man, that's the art of living, in my opinion, man. Like, that's if you're even thinking along those terms and trying to figure that out, that's the deal. And I can say what that is for me, but like your method of arriving at whatever conclusion, your balance of pulling that off is yours, based on who and what you're dealing with at whatever time. But one thing I have learned, and I stand on this, is that things are situational, and you got to know who and what you're dealing with at any moment. And for me, I think that's part of the wisdom of it. I still hold true that it's nothing beats an understanding. You know what I mean? So, in the sense that if you understand what and who you're dealing with at whatever time, then you can more consciously choose on your approach, and into producing the most beneficial or result, if you would.
More info you got.
Because you can't take the same approach with everybody, and as you know, with teaching, man, everyone learns differently, and I teach now, so I'm being taught. You know, you might have an idea of, okay, this and that, but man, no, you got to know who you're dealing with. You got to know the kid, how he learns, what he responds to, what he doesn't. Maybe even know a little something about what he's going through with his family situation. It helps. Kids are going through, you wouldn't believe, in their home environment. So they come into school, and it's, I mean, you know, and so you can't be quick because they behave a certain way to get frustrated, which it can be frustrating, I'm sure. But to just fly off the handle, you don't really know what's behind that. So there's a certain amount of sensitivity involved, you know what I mean? But that doesn't mean that you coddle the kid and stuff like that. But there's that balance. You sweet and salt.
I like
that. You know, but I think the kids benefit a little bit more from also experiencing that sternness and the discipline aspect of, I say, life.
And you were talking about we were talking about the idea of they know. You know, you say that to them. I think people would be surprised if you, like, this. Another guy said this on a podcast I watched. He was like, he was a military guy, and so they were at a pool, and his daughter and their bunch of friends are trying to do things off the diving board or something, and they were trying to like do a dance routine on the diving board or something, and so he came over. What'd you think of it? He's like, you know, it was all right, but I would have liked it if you guys smiled. You didn't smile. And they were like, oh, okay. And then so they go run over it, and they could tell that he was being real with them. They could tell that he was actually, first of all, watching. He was paying attention.
Yes, sir.
And second of all, he was giving actual feedback because he was actually like caring. And they went, oh, and notice what he didn't do. He didn't necessarily compliment them. Right. He said, you could do this better. And they're like, oh, okay. And they all, big eyes. And they're like...
And he wasn't ugly about it.
No.
I mean, it wasn't like he was cussing them out or anything like that.
What can they handle?
Yeah.
They might be able to handle a lot of criticism, if you do it in the right way. Or, kids might be able to handle more than you think they can.
Well, see, Rob, man, this is my thing. This is how I look at this stuff, man. Along with what you said, that you said that they could tell what place he was coming from when he told them that, man. So for me, that's like an energy thing, which see, the proof is in the pudding for me. That's why it's undeniable that it's not necessarily the thing, but what's behind the thing.
It's not just the words.
No, it's not. It's what's behind the words, because people can call your bluff. If you're saying it sounds good, but like if it's not felt like what's behind it, then it's not. Especially with kids, like they know. Yeah. They know when you mean business and when you don't, or when you're coming from a place. And it's the same with adults. Yeah. Especially when it comes to criticism or just the truth. I mean, offering just some guidance. Just like if you're coming from a place of, and I'll just say just honesty and love, because that's why you telling them the truth, because you love them. I mean, you actually care. If you didn't care, you wouldn't say shit. So, but if you come from that place, people can sense it, and even if they initially, their reaction is something adverse, which also is proof that everyone knows the truth. Because if why else would you get mad?
Yeah, they'd blow you off. They'd be like, whatever, dude. Yeah.
But why else would you get mad?
That's a great point.
Because you ain't willing to face it yet.
Yeah.
And that's all something we all go through. I go through it. Dealing with. You gotta look at it, man. So